And finally, for today's episode, let's turn to Ashley Chisholm for a look at Adventist history.
This week, we hear about the life and mission work of John and Jean Morse.
Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. On June 2nd, 1872, John Ferdinand Morse was born in the U.S. state of Minnesota to Ferdinand and Margaret Morse. John's father was one of the 12 children of Washington and Olive Morse, two members of the Advent movement in the 1840s, and who were early believers in the Sabbath. In fact, the Morses had moved their large family to the mission field of Minnesota in 1857, one of three Adventist families to do so. As noted in the article about him in the New Encyclopedia of Seventh-day Adventists, Washington Morse worked as a farmer, postmaster, and justice of the peace while evangelizing his neighbors. Olive was no less ardent about sharing the precious truths she and Washington believed in. Their daughter Harriet, writing about her mother's death in 1901, said, "Mother's love for these testing truths and her interest in their promulgation continued unabated to the last." You can see the Morses in these photos from 1886. Their grandson, John Ferdinand Morse, was a medical doctor. Graduating from the American Medical Missionary College in 1899 as a physician and surgeon, he joined the Battle Creek Sanitarium staff as first assistant surgeon. During this time, he was also the secretary of the International Medical Missionary and Benevolent Association. He spoke at camp meetings about the need for medical missionary work, and he taught at the American Medical Missionary College. On December 19, 1906, Morse married Dr. Jean Harris Witney, daughter of Buell and Esther Witney, and who had spent part of her childhood as a missionary in Switzerland and received her medical degree from the University of Michigan in 1897. Both John and Jean continued their work at Battle Creek Sanitarium until they traveled to Scotland for John to take advanced medical studies at the University of Edinburgh, earning the qualification to practice medicine in any British territory. When John was hired to work for a sugar company in Puerto Rico, he and Jean essentially became self-supporting medical missionaries who coordinated their efforts with the recently established and still nascent Puerto Rico mission. The Morses returned to the United States in 1919, where they both worked at Hinsdale Sanitarium and then Iowa Sanitarium until John's death in 1935. Jean died 5 years later in 1940. When John died, it was said that Dr. Morse was a man of much prayer and found great joy in bringing others to the foot of the cross in preparation to meet their God. May we also be people of much prayer.